Larry's philosophy is that there's plenty for everybody, and there's abundance. And if he's found something that adds value to himself that then would add value to the world, he's the first person to take it to the world.
That picture up here with our first crew that went through the Ninja installation just meant a lot to me. That was a really big day for me. And as we are rounding out the end of the last day and Larry was sort of bringing all the stories together, I was moved to tears. And I just felt this flooding of emotion because I felt like I had found the answer. Like, oh, this is what I have been looking for all of this time. These are all of the things that I believed in.
I had walked up to Larry after day 3 and I said, well, Larry, listen, I'm kind of at a rough part in my life right now. I went through a divorce last year. 3 weeks ago, I got my house foreclosed on. I got to be out of it next week, but I'm here. And you've given me hope and encouragement, and it's given me the strength to pick myself up and go on. It turned around remarkably quick. I ended up having a great year, fell in love. We got married last year, just bought a remarkably beautiful home. However that hope has expressed itself has transformed my life.
So has Ninja Selling changed your business and improved your life? If it has, then we've accomplished the vision of Ninja Selling, which is to improve your business, improve your life, and in the process change our industry and really make the world a better place. And when you look back on how this happened and how we started Ninja and also what it means going forward, I think it all started for me in 1976 when we started our real estate company called The Group Incorporated in Fort Collins, Colorado.
I was nervous of Larry in the beginning because I was so blown away by how far ahead he thought. I mean, I'd never been around somebody that had that deep of a presence.
We started really with a vision question rather than a statement, which was, how will they be selling real estate 25 years from now, in the year 2000? And how can we start selling it that way now? In searching for the answer to that question, we felt that we probably had to look for people outside of the real estate industry for help. And that led to really a series of teachers or mentors. The first of which was Lou Tice, who was with the Pacific Institute and taught us really how to run our brains. Shortly thereafter, I was introduced to Marshall Thurber, and he taught us the principles that the world is set up around abundance versus scarcity. Through Marshall, we were introduced to Tony Robbins, and Tony was a 19-year-old kid that we actually brought to our company, and he did training for our company before he became famous.
So I'd just been kind of a regular thinking, you know, do the next thing like everybody else does kind of guy. And Larry says, by the way, welcome to the group, and I have a ticket that's mine, but I'd like you to have it, and it's to go to the Tony Robbins Firewalk.
We also met Tom Crum, who was an Aikido master, and I started Aikido training, and some of the martial arts kind of led to the name Ninja later on.
He was always looking for a better way. Like we went, John Denver and Thomas Crum, you know, I was in Aspen with John Denver, like doing Tai Chi, going, how did I end up here? This is cool.
I think we all got so caught up in the energy of it, and when you figure out you really and truly can bend a spoon with your hands, and you can walk on fire, and you can break a board, then you know you have more power than you ever thought you did. And when you can transfer that into your selling skills, makes a difference in your production, makes a difference in your personal life. I mean, it was all about going for it.
One other person that had a huge influence on me personally was Robert Kiyosaki. Robert taught me basically how to teach. And in this great laboratory called the Group Real Estate Company, out of that was born what we call today Ninja Selling.
We were Ninja before Larry ever thought about, adopted, or put the name on the Ninja class. We were his ninjas.
Those mentors had a huge influence on all of us. And we started to get great results. The results that we were getting started to receive national attention. The first person that noticed us was Steve Murray.
I heard about the Group Inc. We ranked them in the Real Trends 500.
And he called me one day and said, Larry, we'd like for you to come to Dallas and receive an award. Your company is the most productive real estate company in America in terms of transactions per agent.
20 years ago, we used to give awards out at the Gathering of Eagles because they were either number 1 or 2 in the country several years in a row back then. The Gathering of Eagles would have been what elevated the group and introduced Larry Kendall and the group to the rest of the country.
Shortly thereafter, I was asked to put together a sales course and teach it the day before the real estate convention in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor Hotel. At the time, I said, well, how many people will be in this class? And they said, well, last year we had about 50. And so we prepared a class for 50. They said, what are you going to call it? And I thought about it, and we had a young man in our company by the name of Jimmy D, Jim Dunlap. And his nickname was the Ninja.
And the girls in the office used to joke at me and about me, which I appreciated actually. They'd say I was like a ninja, you know, coming, he's like a ninja, you know, he comes in the middle of the night.
Jimmy D had great sales systems, great customer satisfaction, and he also had the highest income per hour of anyone that I'd ever worked with. And so this became for me the vision of what many salespeople would like, would be to have a high income and still have a life.
Ninja selling, and that was it. I mean, once you turn Larry Kendall loose on the world with an idea, it's done.
And I remember when I called down and said, we're going to call this class Ninja Selling, and everybody laughed. And they liked the name, and that's really the day that Ninja Selling was born. That was October of 1994. We taught our first course. We designed it for 50 people. In the end, for the very first Ninja Selling class, we had 430 people in the International Center of the Broadmoor Hotel. 20 years later, it is still the largest continuing education class ever taught in the state of Colorado.
So Jim Dunlap is not the only person on the planet that has come to a point in their life where they say, I need to be better. I need to feel better. I need to be better to the world. I'm not sure how to do it. And then Larry puts together this program.
You know, the success of that first Ninja Selling class in October of 1994 led to a lot of requests for other courses, and so we started teaching Ninja Selling throughout Colorado, and later ended up with about 3,000 Ninja Selling graduates.
Tremendous opportunity to become what I call is a common goal of all of us, and that is just to be the very best that we can be.
We got the attention of Howard Brenton, and Howard is really the second person that had the most influence on taking Ninja outside of Colorado. I've always considered Howard to be the Napoleon Hill of real estate.
What you're doing is buying into a belief system that's going to keep you from achieving success. So
Howard would go around the country and interview top brokers and top realtors, and then he would feature them on his monthly program called Star Power. And he asked me if I would be interviewed for that Star Power program. Howard told me that the interview that he did with me was the top-selling interview of all time in Star Power. And suddenly, through Howard, Ninja was now on the national stage.
Henry Adams in 1907 wrote, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." Well, that quote could have been written about this month's star, Larry Kendall from Fort Collins, Colorado.
And Howard says, well, do you have any recordings? And we had some cassette tapes back in those days. And he said, I'd like to promote these on throughout my Star Power network. Those Ninja Selling cassettes started to infiltrate the industry. And one of the cassettes got into the hands of one of the CRS instructors. One of them called me one day and said, if we come to Colorado, will you teach us Ninja Selling? And I said, well, I'd be honored. So they came out to Colorado. At that time, there were 17 national CRS instructors. Needless to say, I was nervous about teaching the 17 best instructors in our industry. I asked them, what were they doing? They said, well, we're having an instructors development workshop. And what we do is on day one, we bring somebody in to stimulate our thinking, and then on day two, we rewrite all of our courses. I said, well, who did you bring in last year?
And we had some heavyweights come in. We had Stephen Covey come in to work with us. We had Wayne Dyer come in and work with us. John Grinder, the developer of neurolinguistic programming, came in to work with us. So we've been around some pretty sophisticated people.
When I heard that, then I was even more nervous about what I was going to do.
One of our guys said, you know, we're bringing in these heavyweights. Why don't we bring in the guy that's running the #1 company, real estate company in the country, and have him talk to us about real estate, how he does it. His name is Larry Kendall. I didn't know Larry.
The Ninja selling content speaks for itself. And I wasn't the world's greatest instructor, but the content was world class.
I would say it wasn't a very polished instructor. He had great material, but he wasn't, we were all cocky. We're sitting back, we're national guys, we've been around each other for 20 years, and we gave him a hard time. We're reading the newspaper and we're goofing around. But at the end of the day, we did something with Larry we have never done with anyone. None of these heavyweights. We gave him a standing ovation.
One of the senior instructors, Walt Fry, came up to me and he says, Larry, do you realize what you have here?
This is revolutionary stuff, as far as I'm concerned. This will change the industry. I said, can I buy the course from you? He said, no, it's not for sale. I said, will you franchise it to me? He says, no, I don't want to franchise it either. And I'm feeling, I'm stuck, you know. And he said, why don't you just take it? It's yours, take it and run with it, you know. So I went, okay.
At the time, I was running a company, I was raising kids. I wasn't able to go outside of Colorado, and Walt was ready to go. And he went out on the road and was teaching about 200 days a year, spreading the Ninja word.
I got so busy. One year I did 350,000 air miles.
He turned into a kid with it. I mean, you could just tell. I mean, I think it was almost unreal because it was something that everybody wanted, but nobody knew it was there.
Most people say, I've been looking for this my whole career, which is what I said when I first came across it.
I can never thank Walt enough for what he's done to promote Ninja. So really, it started with Steve Murray, then Howard Brinton, and the guy that really did the heavy lifting was Walt Fry. The demand for Ninja selling was so great that Walt had to bring on other instructors. He brought on Zan Monroe at first, and Zan immediately filled up. And so then he brought on Mike Savaggio. These are two great CRS instructors. And Ninja was really, at this point, really starting to get momentum.
We were ninjas. And when you go back, you're just going to be amazed at what's going to happen. You're just going to kick into autopilot, stay on the Ninja path.
At the time, we also started to make some publications. Ninja was put on the cover of Lore magazine. Mike Savaggio went all the way to Madrid, Spain, and taught one of the first Ninja classes in Spain. And related to that, we ended up on the cover of the Spanish equivalent of the National Associations of Realtors magazine. So at this point, Ninja was really on a roll.
Larry had been doing some studying, some research on this idea of immersion training for adults.
What we were finding was that with the one-day CRS courses, we really couldn't deliver the entire Ninja. We could deliver pieces of it, but we didn't have really a capstone course that put all the parts together. One day, Don Tennyson, who teaches Ninja with me at the group, we were brainstorming how we would put that together and came up with what is today the 4-day Ninja installation course.
The first Ninja installation, we had 9 people in the room. And at the end I thought, well, that was kind of fun, that was a good deal. And Larry at the end of the event says, I think we're on to something here. He could clearly see that we had something that could potentially change the industry.
So we started teaching the Ninja installation, and we started keeping track of the results that our graduates were getting. And we saw that they were experiencing 20, 30, 40, 50% increases in their business over and above the market. And this was at a time when we were in the Great Recession. Immediately, companies began to hear about this. Steve Murray was talking with his CEO groups about it. And I was at a Gathering of Eagles conference with Real Trends, and I happened to bump into Obi Jacoby.
We just struck up this conversation. I said, you know, Larry, would you ever come to Seattle and speak to our group? You know, he kind of lit up and he said, oh, absolutely, I'd love to do that.
It was amazing. The hall was packed. There were about 2,200 Windermere realtors there. The energy was off the chart. And that's probably the largest real estate group I've ever addressed. I heard also at the time it was the largest gathering of Windermere realtors in one place at the time.
We were backstage chatting it up, and I said to him, would you ever consider coming to Seattle to run a program for us? you know, start up some ninja training in Seattle. We'll host the events, and you just show up and do it for 4 days, you know, which sounds so easy.
Kind of joking, though.
Yeah,
but
I
wanted
think I
it.
was kind of joking, and he kind of thought about it and said, absolutely.
And that led to me going to Windermere once a month for about 14 months, training about 1,200 of their realtors, and going on to train then their instructors at Windermere Education to deliver the workshop.
We've taught this to roughly over 2,000 real estate agents. And not only have I taught it and instilled it, but I've also embraced a lot of the principles myself in my own life. And so I think that's why it's been so impactful for me, is because it's not just, I don't just see the change in the people that we instruct and teach, I see the change in myself as well.
Today they are a ninja company. It's been really great to work with a company like Windermere and see on a very large scale that ninja selling can make an impact.
And this really gave us a system and a program to plug our people in so they knew what to do and why to do it every day.
I also think that it makes them better business people. It also makes them better at life. It just makes them better at life.
Yeah, no question. When I went home and started talking to my kids about it. You know, at the time they were 8 and 10. You know, we're just like, oh my God, you got to do this and you got to do this.
And of course they're seeing the results too, because we've been tracking the results and sharing them. And I think that many of the folks that were unable to attend the last installation have seen the folks come out of that process with enthusiasm and with systems and with purpose.
This is my first Ninja installation. 40 years in the business, you would think it takes an awful lot for an old goat to get excited. I literally had trouble sleeping. I just am so excited to get back to the office and implement some of these things that we talked about this week.
We've had agents that close over 100 transactions a year, and their business went up, as well as our brand new agents. First week in the business, we send them here, teach them the mindset, the skill set, and then we put some activity with it, and it seems to create magic.
You know, we designed Ninja Selling as a system, and a system is something that if you work it, it'll give you predictable results. And clearly we were getting predictable results as far as production, and people's business and their careers were changing. It was very exciting, but what we didn't realize was the impact that Ninja Selling was having on lives. And probably the first really big aha that I got was one day when on my cell phone, I got a call from Maria Vitale.
So 2007, I have a 10-day-old and a 2-year-old. I find myself in a single mom situation. So 2010, I took Larry Kendall's Ninja class.
And she called up to talk about how it had changed her entire life.
When I called him and I said, Larry, listen to me. You need to hear the inflection in my voice. I think that year was my first year, and I had closed, I think I'd taken the installation in October, and by December I had closed 6 to 8 deals. And I said, do you hear this? By you teaching that class, you've given me opportunity. Within 9 months, I bought my first house. I was able to go from living in my mom's small basement. I wake up, I hear my children laughing. I drop them off at school at 9. I pick them up at 3:30 every day, and I have this short amount of time to get my work done. It was just a good journey, you know, from being so low and so down to being one of the top producing brokers is just unheard of. I don't think I could write the story any better than it's turned out.
Hi. Oh, how are you, my love? Good.
I remember teaching a Ninja installation class in Seattle. And somebody had a question about how to use some of the pricing tools. And I knew that Kathy Olson had used those tools. And I asked Kathy if she would be willing to share how those worked with the Seattle MLS system. She answered the question about the pricing. But then she said, Larry, could I say something else? And she started talking about the impact Ninja had in her life.
My youngest daughter, Stacy, was born in February 2011, and then on Valentine's Day, when I woke up, she was passed away in my arms. And the autopsy showed that she had died of group B strep, which had settled in her brain as meningitis. So there was no sign, there's no way you could tell. My hope is that sharing this message would kind of instill in other people a hope and a knowledge that there's a way to get past that moment. It took a lot of determination and focus to keep the business going and keep up with my volunteering and keep doing the things in my life that were so easy before. Looking back, you couldn't tell from my business, from my statistics, that I had experienced a trauma. And to have my business still working was just really a blessing for me. And I think that I can assign that to the Ninja system because it's a whole mind system. It's not just about work. It's about your health, your life, your spirituality. It's a holistic view. I'm really grateful for that and for the opportunities that Ninja's given me.
When she was done, there was not a dry eye in the room. And then suddenly 80 people stood up and gave Kathy a standing ovation. What I realized when I heard Kathy's story or Maria's story was that Ninja was having a bigger impact than just helping people sell real estate. Now the joy that I receive personally from Ninja is hearing stories about how it's improved their lives. I received a Thanksgiving card in the mail from a young woman named Gina.
When I went in 2013, I had pretty much lost my business. It was gone. I have 5 children, so that's a lot of kids, and our youngest has special needs. We had been in this tremendous amount of debt, so I wrote to let him know that we had turned our whole life around. You know, we don't have to think about selling our house or the cars or anything. Our life is just back. We've also been able to afford all the therapy that Lachlan has, which is very expensive. So I have a very different schedule. I've tried getting up earlier in the morning, but my son just hears me. He didn't even sleep through the night till he was 5. So I get up in the morning and I get him ready. And that's all I do. And then I'm in a panic, trying to get as much done as I can, trying to get my systems done, and then checking email and phone calls and all of that because the day's already started for most folks. And then my son gets out of school at 2 or 2:30, depending on the day. That's a 4-hour to 4.5-hour day. I felt like now I've got something to say, you know, because wow, what an amazing thing to walk in with $2,000 worth of commission for the year, halfway through the year, and end it almost $147,000. And that all but 2 was created from the time I went into the Ninja retreat by the end of the year.
I received many notes about how it improved their business, and that's important. But the ones that I save are the ones that talk about how it changed their life. I have over 1,000 notes from Ninjas throughout the US and Canada. All of our instructors have notes like this, and really it's the philosophy, the system of Ninja, the path, if you will, that changes lives. And I believe that the Ninja principles will stand the test of time. Also, one of the exciting things now, we have 3 universities that are using our Ninja classes in their colleges of business. We hope to expand that. It's interesting when you look over the last 20 years as to how did this all happen and how did all of these players seem to come together at the right time to create something this special. Steve Murray and Howard Brinton and Walt Fry and all of the instructors and now all of the owners of companies and now the 40,000 ninjas.
Most of the time, ninjas pull in other ninjas, and non-ninjas into the program don't even know that they're truly a ninja inside, but it really brings out the best in people.
So Ninja's not about one person, it's about all of us. And we have critical mass now, and we have momentum, and we're making a difference in the world. It's been said, you know, that your life is the same today as it'll be tomorrow except for 3 things. One is the people you meet, the places you go, and the books you read. And clearly the people that I've met in Ninja have been the best. And I think it's a great time for us to all gather and celebrate 20 years of Ninja.